Hey guys, this is Mrs. Keith, and I'm going to try to do these notes over the Sim class practice. These are a little more challenging, so I thought I would go over them. So we've got Allie has a garden, and it's square. It has a 4-foot high wood fence surrounding it. The area of the garden is 12,544 feet, and we want to know how many square feet of fence surrounds her garden. So kind of envision that. Like this would be a fence panel covering her garden, one side of it. This would be another side of the fence panel. This would be another side, and then this would be the back. So the actual garden, it's the back part. This is the side, the bottom. So the actual fence, let me see if I can color that in green just so you can see where the garden is. This part right here is where the garden is. All right, so this fence is 4 feet high right here. The area of this garden down here along the bottom, that's 12,544 feet. Well, you know that it's square. They told you so right up here. So the area of a square we said was area equals side squared. So if I know the area is 12,544, that's going to equal whatever the side is squared. Well, to unsquare that, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of this side, square root of this side. And I end up with 112 equals the side. So this right here, that side length right there is 112 feet. So that represents the one side of the square. We've got 112 here, 112. Let's see if I can erase that. Oh gosh, I erased way too much, sorry. 112 here. And so now then we need to talk about this fence panel over here. So this right here is part of the fence panel. That's one side of it. Well, it's a rectangle right here. Let me try another color. It's a rectangle where this is one fence panel, and it's 4 by 112. So if I want to figure out the area of one fence panel, it's a rectangle, so I'm going to do area equals base times height. All right, my base is 112, and my height is 4. And when I multiply those together, I get 448. So that represents this particular fence panel right here. Well, I've got 4 sides of those. It's surrounded by, all around it, all 4 sides are surrounded. So I need to multiply that 448 by 4, and I get 1,792 feet squared. So that's how much fencing is surrounding my square garden. Okay, on the next one, we have the area of a triangle with a height. This is supposed to be 5. Sorry about that. So a height of 5, and the area is 150 square root of 3 centimeters squared. I forgot to mention when you do the units for area, you're multiplying. A lot of times, for example, on a rectangle, we're multiplying base times height. Well, each of those have a unit with them, and so when like for example, if my units were feet, I would be doing feet times feet, which make it feet squared. So whenever you're doing area, the units will always be squared. Okay, so we're talking about the area of a triangle. I'm going to write that formula. Area equals 1/2 base times height. And then I'm going to plug in what I know. So I know the area is 150 square root of 3. I know that the base is what we're trying to find, and the height is 5. Okay, so now I just need to solve this. I'm going to simplify on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side first. So that would become 150 square root of 3 equals, I can multiply this 1/2 and this 5 together. So they become 5 halves times b. So now then I'm trying to undo what's happening to b to solve for b. B's being multiplied by 5 and being divided by 2. So to undo it, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 and divide by 5. So these cancel over here. When you multiply something with a square root like this, you ignore the square root. I mean, you're going to put it at the end, but when you're multiplying, you're just focusing on the 150, the 2, and the 5. So when you multiply 2 times 150, you get 300 divided by 5, you're going to get 30. Or, I'm sorry. When you do 300 divided by 5, you get 60. So that's 60 square root of 3 equals the base. Okay. So now then, I'm going to write my answer as 60 square root of 3 centimeters. And that's that answer, just working backwards. Okay, on our next example, we have a rectangle. It has the ratio of the lengths of the short side to the long side is 2 to 3. So I'm going to go ahead and draw myself a rectangle. And if my ratio is 2 to 3, that means my short side is going to be 2x and my long side will be 3x. A rectangle has 4 right angles, so we can multiply those together to get our area, because when we write the area formula, it's base times height. So they tell me the area of this rectangle is 3,750 square meters. So I'm going to plug that in for area. I'm going to plug in what I've written down for the base and the height. So the base is 3x and the height is 2x. And when you multiply those together, you've got 3,750 equals. You're multiplying the 2 and the 3 together to get 6, and then you multiply the x and the x together and you get x squared. Okay, so now we need to solve for x. So one thing to remember, if you remember your order of operations, PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. When you're solving, you always undo those order of operations going backwards. So you undo any adding and subtracting first, which we don't have any. Then you need to undo multiplication. So I need to undo that multiplication by 6 by dividing both sides by 6. So after you've undone the multiplication, you're going to undo the exponent. So I'm going to erase that real quick just so I have room. Okay, so when I divide both sides by 6, 3,750 divided by 6 is 625. Now we need to undo the exponent, and the way you undo the exponent is to take the square root. That's how you unsquare something. So take the square root of both sides, and the square root of 625 is 25. So I know this question's asking me what is the perimeter, so I need to know what each of the side lengths are. So if I do 3 times 25, I'm going to get that this side length is 75. Opposite sides are equal, so that's also 75. If I do 2 times 25, I'm going to get that this side over here is 50, and this side over here is 50. So then when you find the perimeter, which I don't know where I'm supposed to do that, perimeter is going to be 50 plus 75 plus 75 plus 50, which when you add all those together, you get 250. So my perimeter is 250 meters. And that's your answer for that one. Okay, on the next one, we've got the area of a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and write that formula. Area equals pi r squared. When you do the area of a circle, I'm just going to plug that in. 615 equals pi r squared. They've also given they're wanting us to find the length of the diameter. I want you to remember that the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. So we need to figure out this radius over here. So again, you want to undo the things that are being done to this r right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide by pi on both sides. And because pi is such a weird decimal, I'm not going to worry about dividing it out. I'm just going to leave it as 615 over pi equals the radius squared, just to keep it as exact as long as possible. And then I'm going to unsquare this radius. So to unsquare it, I have to take the square root. So I can say that the radius equals the square root of 615 over pi. And then to get my diameter, I'm going to do 2 of those. So 2 times the square root of 615 over pi. And I'm going to type that in my calculator, and when I do, I get that the diameter is 27.983. Now it's asked me to round to the thousands, and that's 3 decimal places. My units were centimeters, so I need to put centimeters right there. All right, one more. The length of one side of a regular hexagon, so let's draw that. They tell me is 6, so all of these sides are the same because it's a regular one. It tells me the area is 54 square root of 3, so I'm going to write the formula for the area of a regular hexagon. It doesn't always have to be a hexagon. It can be a pentagon, an octagon, any shape that's a polygon that uses this formula. Area equals 1/2 apothem times the perimeter. They're wanting me to find the length of the apothem, which remember is from the center drawn perpendicular to one of the sides. That's your apothem. Okay, so I can get the perimeter, and I know the area. They told me it was 54 square root of 3, so I'm going to plug that in. 54 square root of 3 equals 1/2 the apothem. Now the perimeter, I forgot to talk about this on the main page. The perimeter you just get by adding up all your sides. So your perimeter equals 6 sides times 6, which gives me 36. So my perimeter is 36. All right, I'm going to go ahead and multiply on the right-hand side just to simplify before I start moving things. I've got 1/2 times 36, which is 18. And then I need to get a by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 18. Okay, when you do that, you get a equals 3 square root of 3. Because when you divide 18, you're just dividing that part there, and you'll attach the square root of 3 to that. And then my units are feet, so 3 square root of 3 feet. And you're done. All right, that's it for today's notes. Thanks, guys.